It's spinning.
There we go.
Good morning, everybody, the winners from all across the country. Welcome to Win the Day. I'm Mark Simpson, sitting in for just a few more days for John Moran. And we have with us Destiny Powell.
Good morning.
Here from Navarre, Florida, and Julie Morris from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Morning.
And we're going to talk about today, we win the day by keeping it simple. You know, simplicity is the key to powerful conversation. Have you ever found that when things get really complicated, you just check out? Mm-hmm. When you can't explain it simply and succinctly, you're losing your audience. And when it comes to real estate, learning how to keep it simple, learning how to bring in your messaging so that on two things, you're attracting people, the people that you're wanting to attract. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Also leading the people that you need to lead by keeping it simple. And so as we look at this, here's my question for you is, what is it that you do? Simply put, what do you do? And can you communicate what it is that you do in a succinct way so that other people get it and they know exactly what you do? I think about how many people, when they're asked, what is it that they do? The response is, I'm a realtor. Actually, they don't say I'm a realtor. They say I'm a realtor. And that's like fingernails on the chalkboard for me. There's no in realtor. It's real, T-O-R, not realtor. But when you communicate what you do by just giving a label, a title, a designation, what happens at that point? You get lumped into, you and everybody else. I think on the Emerald Coast, there's about 5,000 realtors. And so if you say, what is it that you do? I'm a realtor. Oh, you and everybody else. There's no distinction. There's no simple differentiation of who you are. And so I think it's very important that we are able, in terms of communicating what it is that we do, to do so in a powerful way. I like what John said in his post today. He said, I help people ensure they have enough passive income to live the life they want in retirement. We achieve this by investing in cash flowing rental properties that renters pay for. That's a powerful statement. It's simply put, and it zeroes in on the exact people that they want. Why do you think it is? And I'm going to throw this out to the crew here. Why do you think it is that we have such a difficult time simplifying our message?
Because people don't think about it. You have to think about it ahead of time. You have to have an answer, and it has to be compelling. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an answer. It can be a question. So, ask a question. How people build wealth through real estate. That's what I do. Because then you can have them answer the question first. They can ask questions. They can answer the question. But then you get a sense of what their mindset is, and you can answer their question, and then you're connected. But if you just give them something that they've heard before and they don't connect it to something they need or have questions about, then they don't care. And you're just like everybody else.
Yeah. The beauty of the human mind is that we generalize. If you think about it, it is a gift that allows us to learn very, very quickly. If we look at what we're sitting on right now, we would label it a chair. I guarantee you that all three of us who are sitting in chairs are sitting in different types of chairs. And they're different types of chairs than what we first learned was a chair, probably a clunky wooden kitchen, whatever it was. And so we real quickly can lump things into categories and say, oh, that's a chair, that's a chair, that's a chair. So we stop learning. We just lump into categories. That's one of the values of human learning. We generalize. Well, if we don't differentiate, we get lumped into everybody else's category. You get lumped into the crappy realtor that they experience, and they go, "Oh, you're one of those," or what you name it. And so you've got to break that mold a little bit and create a new way of looking at it. Destiny, simply put, how do you explain what you do?
I'm all about stopping the scroll. I say that a lot. So I just tell people I open doors, and I use that for my catchphrase, Destiny opens doors, and makes people think, opens doors, what are you talking about? But that gives me the opportunity to then explain I'm opening the doors to your opportunity to first-time home ownership, opening the door to your investment property. I haven't quite found my niche just yet. I'm still a little new in that, but I just like to say I open doors for all of those opportunities, real estate related.
There we go. There we go. Andrew, what about you? What do you think about this?
I think most agents really miss the mark on this. Dan Kennedy is one of the best copywriters in the world, and he sums it up in just having a USP. A USP is a unique selling proposition. And basically he says, why should I do business with you above any and all other choices, including doing nothing at all? And I think if you can't answer that question as an agent, then you're really missing the mark. Too many agents say that they're trustworthy or they're honest or whatever. Well, that's part of your fiduciary duties. You need to be that.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, why should I choose you? Because I'm going to work hard. Everybody can say that. Everybody can say that. So here's some tips. Here's some simple ways. And we'd love to know how you put it simply. All our winners out there, let us know, comment, like, share, and let us know how you define what you do. But here are a couple tips to win the messaging. Number one, use plain language. Avoid the jargon. So industry-specific terms that might confuse your audience, just use language that everyone understands. How many times do people say, I'll run a CMA? Now, we know what that is, but let me take the time to tell you to look and research what your home is worth in today's market. Avoid that jargon that just moves people out. I like going back to John's. It's just we help people get passive income for retirement through rental, having properties that other people pay for. Where's the jargon in that? There's not any. Right? So short sentences are very important when you're using plain language. If you're writing anything, 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph, lots of white space, use plain language. Focus on your core message. What are your key points? And what is it that you want people to be left thinking about? What is it that you want to kind of create as an earworm, just kind of rattling around, or a brainworm in there, sticking with that, and leave only one message at one time?
So one thing I would offer is it's really hard when you first start out in real estate and you're new, or maybe you've been doing it for a while, but you haven't, sold that many homes. And a lot of people are trying to figure out, what do I say? What do I do? And they're very nervous about listing appointments because they haven't been on that many. And I would say that used to be me, and I would go with this flip chart presentation, and I'd try to get through everything in it, and this and this, and if this is the danger, pricing too high, and this is this, and this is why I should, And I came to realize I go in there and you're just, word vomit.
Yeah.
Go in there seeking to understand. Mm-hmm. And if you go in and the first thing you do is you start asking them questions and get some of the big rocks in place, then you can answer their questions. Sure, have a presentation, have information. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it, so that you don't have to try to remember it all. And that opens up your mind to be able to ask questions and to truly listen. Because you can go back to your little flip chart or your leave behind or your digital presentation and find the answer. But if you can understand their fears and their concerns and answer their questions, they're going to go, oh, this person listened to me, and they're going to connect, versus the other realtors who go in there and just barf on them about how great they are. So I just would suggest, especially when you're brand new and you don't know what to say, your secret weapon is to go in there and to listen and ask questions.
That goes right back to the How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he tells the story in that book. And if you haven't read that book, read it. I think I was late 30s before I ever read it, or early 40s, and I was just like kicking myself that I hadn't read it way before that. But they talk about a man going into a meeting and into an event, and he did no self-revelation. All he did was ask questions of people, and he networked the room just asking people questions. And at the end, they pulled all these people aside and they said, who was the most interesting person at the party? And they said, oh, so-and-so. And he revealed nothing of himself. He just pulled out of other people their stories.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's powerful. That's powerful. And I would say when you're keeping it simple in your messaging, it needs to be such that it elicits more conversation.
And that's the trick. That's the trick, is to elicit the conversation, because a lot of people get nervous and they have anxiety around a listing appointment, working with buyers, networking. And the thing is if you just stop and go, hey, what does everybody have a lot of knowledge about? They have a lot of knowledge about themselves, and they have a lot of knowledge about where they live. So ask questions and they will reveal to you their concerns and their fears, and then you can address them.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Destiny, what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking about, kind of like what Julie said with the listing appointment. I know when I first started, James taught me they only want 3 things, and to show up with those 3 things. How much are you going to sell it for? How are you going to sell it? And what are they going to make? I've gone on listing appointments where I've had people tell me, I don't want to see those charts. Don't show that to me. I've spent the time preparing them. They don't care. They just want those 3 simple things. And that's what gets the listing and gets that listing agreement signed every single time for me, is just going in with that. I know this is what you want. This is what it is. Here's your net sheet. How do you feel about it? Keeping it simple.
I like what Jesse says, all the way from Rocketown. Don't make the presentation about you and how great you and your company are. Make it about them and how you get them what they want, just to that point. And know your personality styles so that you can communicate to those. Andrew, what you got?
Just two things. Yeah, the personality style, the DISC is really behavioral style, but yeah, learn that, and you can adapt that to your audience if you can figure out by looking at the clues of who they are. And then you want to tailor your presentation to them instead of about yourself. And then the FORD technique, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. When you're visiting with somebody, those are some ideas on questions to ask.
Yeah. Look, here's another thing: is just be direct and specific. I think that the agents who are going to do exceptionally well in these changes due to the NAR developments are those who can communicate through the clutter simplicity. And with the sellers, it's just going to boil down to this. You really have 3 options. We can do it like we've always done it, before the DOJ and attorneys got involved, and we can just run the traditional way. Number 2, we can negotiate the buyer agent's commission on a case-by-case situation, case-by-case basis. Or number 3, you can decide not to do that at all and not pay any concessions toward a buyer agent. Which do you want to do? Which makes sense? And how can we help you think through that? Keeping it simple, asking questions, and finding out the heart of where those people are. All right? So be specific. Don't just sit back and convolute things. And let me give you a few other things. If possible, when you are meeting, use visual aids that are simple, not complex, and use fewer. Bullet, keep it simple, and always seek the feedback. Test and refine. Over time, you will find the right way to say it. I forget who was saying it the other day, that when you think about comedians, we see comedians stand up and nail it, right? And we laugh, we cry, we write bad checks, whatever it is. They did not arrive at that routine and that set by not testing it out on small audiences. They worked through those sets over and over and over and practice timing and such until they got that joke that just landed. Understand that you are going to have to do the same thing. Start working on that messaging. And Julie, just to circle back to what you said, is slow down and take the time. Slow down. I know that in one of my businesses that I started was Marathon Makeover. And we would take people and we would take them off the couch, and over 40 weeks, we would move them into a marathon finish. And when we were starting off, we were struggling with our messaging. And it came to us at an event. We were at a health fair and we had a booth, and people were walking around the circle, and they'd see us and they'd see Marathon Makeover, and we'd say, we're training for a marathon. And people go, oh my gosh, no, that's not me. And we couldn't get people to our table. And then all of a sudden, somebody said, what do you do? And I said, we turn couch potatoes into marathoners. Boom. And they started coming to the table because every couch potato went, how do you do that? And that started the question or the conversation, but it started with a very simple message. And that became our tagline. We turn couch potatoes into marathoners. Everything that we did, it was very simple. It targeted our market and it told the outcome. And sometimes you got to practice a lot of that until you find it.
And that's where you have to figure out. That's why I say ask questions. I, in the beginning, was so concerned about my presentation and covering all these things and making sure that I got to this, that, and the other. And the reality is if you do all of that ahead of time, and yes, it's good to have a polished presentation and to be able to speak, but people want to be understood and they want to be heard. So if you go in there and you have everything printed and ready to go, now you have freed your mind to be able to listen. And to pay attention to the clues and to see what they're revealing and what their concerns are and what their hot buttons are. And now you can listen.
Love it. It is the preparation that allows you to be present. And don't be so wed to, no, hush, I need to get through my presentation. It's your fallback. So that if they have a question, you go, well, I've actually prepared for that. But you're not leading with that. I coach a lot of agents. It's the old LTP mama. Before the meeting, know where they're moving to, location. What's the time frame? What will happen if they get it? What will happen if they don't get it? What will happen if it happens sooner? What's the price that they're anticipating? What's their motivation? What are they looking for in an agent? I'm amazed at how many agents don't simply ask that. Hey, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Before we meet, I'm just curious, what are you looking for in an agent? And they'll tell you. They'll give you the cheat sheets to their heart, and then you can speak to those things. Ask roughly, what's your payoff, so that you know you can have conversations around what they're going to net. And then you move to the appointment. Those simple questions in advance that allow you to prepare for those things allows you to be totally present in that moment. Andrew, you look like you have something to say.
I'll just say that I've heard at one point that Steve Jobs would prepare 40 hours to prepare for a 1 hour appointment or 1 hour meeting. And so I also had the opportunity about 20 years ago to hear Bill Cosby, think of him, whatever you want. But what you said earlier, as far as the practice, everything was identical. I saw him, he did the chocolate cake for breakfast thing, but it was the same as it, all the pauses, every voice inflection was identical to it was like on the cassette. So rehearse, practice, getting a group to role play,
and refine it over time. When we talk about simple, you got to make it look simple. It is a process of work to make it look effortless, to find that messaging. And so today, the way we win the day is start by just asking yourself some questions. What is it that I do? Let it be value driven. Don't make it about you. Make it about who you serve and how you serve it. Start working on that and test it. See if it stops the scroll. See if it turns heads. See if it brings about questions. And see if it resonates with your true passion, your identity, and what it is that you do. Don't go chasing a road just because the messaging is good, but it sucks the life out of you. Find that which works, that is authentic, and is simple, and other people go, oh, I know what you do, so that when they see it out there, they can refer back to you. That's not me, but I know a couch potato. That's not me, but I know somebody that wants an investment property. That's not me, but and make it value laden.
Phil Jones.
What's that?
Phil Jones.
Yes. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, maybe it's not for you.
Maybe it's not for you. That's right.
Gives them permission to shut you down in the event they're not interested, but it lets them have more confidence.
I love it. All right. So wrapping things up, it's 8:20. We're going a little bit long. Everybody, in terms of simply put, what are you going to leave people with to think about how to win the day? Destiny, starting with you.
I don't have anything else. I think that was it. We covered it all.
All right. Andrew, what about you? You got something simply put?
Figure out your USP, unique selling proposition. What sets you apart from your competition?
All right. Julie, bring us home. Let's go win the day.
Seek to understand rather than be understood.
Love it. All right, folks, that's how we win the day. Let's go win the day. Let's make sure that our messaging resonates with people, communicates value, and then refine it over time. And you're going to find that you're going to be far more effective. Hey, so glad that you're here. Make sure you make sure that you comment even after this is done, and share it with your people, because we want to help more and more people win. I'm going to be in the host seat tomorrow and Wednesday, and then the man, the myth, the legend, John Moran will be back. Helmet guiding, what do you say? Hand on the helm or whatever. I don't know. He'll be back.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. He'll be back. All right. Y'all have a great day.
Bye, guys.